Discussion of the history and philosophy of education by talking a little bit more about Plato and his theory of human nature. As you will recall, Plato believed there's more to a human being than just his or her body, that we have a non-physical element, a soul, a rational soul, that is our essential self. But he also believes that there's more to the psychology of a human being than just the fact that they have a non-physical entity, that they have a soul. And in fact, he says that all of us have three different parts. We have a rational part, a spirited part, and an appetitive part. Now, hopefully those names are fairly descriptive. Rational part of us is the part of us that thinks things through, that analyzes things, that tries to make rational decisions. The spirited part, now don't think about spiritual, not religious, but spirited, think about like a spirited horse. It has to do with passions. The spirited part of us is the part of us that feels things strongly, that is passionate about things. And one of the virtues Plato closely associates with the spirited part of us is courage. The soldier who has the passion to go into battle and to be courageous, that's a spirited part of him or her. And then the appetitive part has to do with our appetites. It has to do with our desire to have physical and emotional needs met, like the desire for food and sleep and sex and power, and those kinds of things are all a part of our appetitive part. It's easy to remember if you think about these relative to various body parts. So we have the rational part, the spirited part, and the appetitive part. Rational part, think about our heads. For the spirited part, think about the heart. And for the appetitive part, think about the stomach. Now, each of us has all three parts in our lives. And the one that is dominant at a given moment, will depend on what's going on in our lives. So, for example, if I haven't slept in 36 hours, that need for physical gratification, sleep, may take precedence over my passions and my reason. Or if there's a threat to my child, the spirited part may take precedence over the rational part or the appetitive part. Now, so the point is that all of us have all three at work in our lives, and they fluctuate in how important they are at a given moment. But at the same time, Plato believes that there are patterns, that some of us tend to be, over the course of our lives, dominated by reason. Others of us tend to be, over the course of our lives, dominated by passions. And others of us, over the course of our lives, tend to be dominated by appetites. So in effect, there are three kinds of people in the world. People who are rational, people who are spirited, and people who are appetitive. Again, the rational person is someone who is guided primarily over the course of his or her life by reason. That doesn't mean the passions never come into play or that the appetites never come into play. You take the most rational person in the world, you deprive them of food for 48 hours, and they're not going to be very rational. And so at a given moment, any one of these may dominate, but there's a pattern over the course of a life as to whether a person is a rational, spirited, or appetitive person. So a logical question for us to ask ourselves is, what kind of person am I? Are you someone who tends to be rational, tends to be passionate, tends to be appetitive? When you make decisions, and again, not just on a given day, but over the course of your life, is the pattern such that when you make decisions, you tend to think things through and operate rationally? Or do you tend to follow your heart and respond passionately to things? Or, are your decisions largely driven by where the Twinkies are, getting your physical needs met? So, three kinds of people. What kind of person are you? Now, for Plato, that is a very important question, because remember, the fundamental issue here is, how do we recreate the golden age and make it one that will last? And he says, to recreate that golden age, we've got to make sure to have a good and stable society, we have to have each person performing the role for which he or she is naturally suited. To know what your natural role would be, we would have to know what kind of person you are. Now think about this. What do you suppose would be the natural role of the rational people in a good society? What do you suppose would be the natural role of the passionate people in a good society? What would be the natural role of competitive people in the good society? Now, part of this you probably can guess, that according to Plato, in the ideal society, the rational people will be the ones who make the decisions. They'll be the rulers. They will govern. The spirited people, people driven by passion and having this virtue of courage, will be the protectors, the guardians of society. They'll be the soldiers and the police and the firefighters and so forth. And the appetitive people will be the people who do the work, the daily work of society, producing the goods and services society needs. In an ideal society, all people are not equal. Plato says a good society must be built on the truth, and the truth is that all people are not equal. A good society is not a place where there's equality, but a place where each person knows what his role or her role is and performs it well. The role of these people is to rule, these people is to protect, these people is to work in an ideal society. Now,